Hello and welcome to today's session. My name is Henry. Please, if you're not following our YouTube account, I would kindly request that you do and turn on your notification bell so that way, whenever we have new SAP Material Management integration with finance, training videos, question and answers for interviews, and overall an opportunity for you to learn more about SAP, you will be the first to know. Thank you for watching today's session. In today's training, I wanted to share something very important and critical for SAP Material Management consultants, especially because the demand for MM consultants is high and there are specific configurations and implementations that the business will need us to be able to support them in, especially when it has to do with the material price changes configuration. Material price changes is very important to every SAP environment, especially production environment, where they could order stock at X amount of dollars, and those stocks could update the prices directly into the material master data if that is set up for a moving average price control V, and also if they wanted to manually change the price of the material master. So what we're going to be learning here today is how that can be executed into the system. First thing I'm going to be showing us in this video is a material master data. So I'm going to go to MM03. In this transaction code, I want us to take into consideration material 176. And if you go into 176, you can keep the different departmental views that you want to open up. And then here I have maintained for this plant, the storage location, and I'm also maintained the valuation types, and I'm going to keep it for US valuation type. And here, if I go to the accounting tab, you will notice that immediately you create a material, you cannot go back and change the price. And that is why we need to also learn how we can change prices or material price changes configuration so that way you can support the business. All right, so now we have already created this material, we have set up this price, and we cannot go back and change the price. And you can see here that I've already ordered some stock. I ordered 10 stock in total, which is the 10 total stock that you see here. If you multiply that by 4, we have total inventory value of over $40. So now let's say, for example, since this has to do with a price control V and V has to do with moving average, and if you understand what that means, it means this is the weighted, valuated price. So you order the stock, let's say maybe at $4, and maybe for some reason the vendor is only able to sell the stock to you at $5, and after they confirm that with your buyer and your buyer agreed to order the stock at $5, what happens with the moving average price or periodic unit price is that the SAP system will update the price accordingly to the new price, the price at the purchase order of $5. Okay, but in this scenario here, we have the price set up as 4, and we also ordered the stock at the same $4. Okay, or maybe the price was even at $5. And then here we've ordered the stock for $4. So what happens is the SAP system automatically changes the price also to $4. That is a very interesting thing with the moving average price. So the price changes happens from whatever price that was maintained into the purchase order screen. Okay. But now let's say, for instance, the business have realized that the new market price is $5 and they want to manually change it without depending on the purchase order. How can that happen? That is where the price changes configuration comes into SAP. So here we can copy this material number and open a new GUI window. And there's a transaction code that we're going to be using right now. Transaction code is MR21. You can also follow the SAP easy access menu parts to that transaction. So right here, you have the price change overview screen. And we're going to be posting it today. Today is the 30th, 2025 for my company code and for my plans. You can also enter a reference like inventory updates, price changes. Okay. And we can keep at 01. And if you have any information like the document header text, the long text that you want to maintain in here, you can also maintain it. So I'm just going to maintain it for the name of my material. Price change from $4 to $5. And I'll click continue. And in here, I'm going to enter the name of my material. And of course, since I have a valuation type set up for this material, I can select the valuation type. And then I can hit enter on my keyboard. And we can see the new price, assuming this is the new price of $4. And you can see the current price. So let's say we want to change this new price because this is what you need to change, okay? Because this is going to be your current price, okay? So I'm going to change this to $5 just to follow exactly what I have here. And I'm going to hit enter on my keyboard, okay? And once I hit post, I'm going to get an error message, okay? So we want to learn how can we fix this error messages when we get this error messages into the SAP system, okay? So what is this saying? It says that this account here requires an account assignment relevant to cost center. So I shared in my previous video where I was talking about the importance of OKB9, that is the transaction code that we can use to solve this problem. And we can also go into FS00, which is the general ledger account screen. As material management consultants, it is required for us to at least have some understanding of what is happening in the GL account, just because material management is highly integrated in finance. And as you can see here, to make a price changes, there's going to be a post either to the profit or loss account. So first thing first is I want us to go into FS00 and try to figure out which account this belongs to. Right, so here we can go to the display GL account and you can see it is for that exact account 52531000. And if I expand to full screen, you can see that this is going to be a gain. Why is it trying to post into the gain account? Well, it's simply because the current price is $4 and it's trying to increase the price because the business has realized that that product is now going to be sold at $5. So if the business is going to be selling that product to their customers, they're going to be making a gain because they first and foremost had the product at $4 and now they're increasing the price to $5. And this thing happens in every business where the business can increase their prices, due to the control of the market. So the system is trying to make this posting in here. Now, before we go a little bit into solving the problem, I want us to go to SPRO, SAP Reference IMG, and here I am in Material Management in the Valuation and Account Assignment node. And also right here, you have the option of how you can define the price control for the material types and make them mandatory. So here you can see we have it set up for different groups. The material that I'm using in this particular training is a raw material. And you can see that the price control is set to S. However, the price control is not set mandatory. And this is the reason why when I created this material that I'm showing in this example, I was able to change it to V because even though the price control was S, it wasn't mandatory. So in case you're wondering where this V or S is coming from, it is actually coming from the price control. You can see here, we can also change this directly to V. If that is as per the business requirements, if they want it to be mandatory, you can tick this box. And then users who are creating the material masters would not be able to change the price control. Okay, but as far as it's unchecked, even though you're creating the material master, you can choose which price control you want to have. That's the first thing you need to know. And then also the second thing would be you can configure price changes in previous period. This is very important. So here you can look for your company code. So mine is US 29. I have US 29, I have US 30, and I have ZUS1. And you can see that all of them have the check boxes. This check boxes basically means that we can make posting into previous period, and previous period can be carried over into the current period. So the price change can be posted in 3 periods, okay? The current period, previous period, and previous period can be carried over to the current period. So those are all the different scenarios that SAP has made available. If you uncheck the boxes here, you are telling the system that I do not want to be able to post into the previous period, neither do I want to be able to carry the price over into the current period, okay? So in this scenario, we're just going to say no and leave it as is. It depends on your business scenario. If that is the requirement, you can always uncheck the box. Otherwise, you can keep the box checked if you want to be able to post into previous periods. And then we also have the reason for the price change. So for the reason for the price change here, we can go here to the display account for accounts key UMB. So let's double click into that. And here you also need to choose your chart of account and execute. Now into the screen, you can see that we have chart of account UMB for your transaction key and your valuation grouping code and different valuation classes. And as you can see, the SAP system was making reference to this account. So to the right of what you're seeing here, this is the gain account and this is the loss account. So I can also copy this, or I can go back to my previous screen and you can see here, this GL account 52031,000 is the loss account. Like I just mentioned, that to the left of your screen is a loss account. And then also for this other GL account right here, ending with 3152531. And if you click continue, you see that this is into the gain account. So we're posting from $4 to $5. So that is happening into the gain account. I just wanted to make sure that we have a very good understanding of the different accounts that the SAP system is taken into consideration in this scenario, okay? So I'm going to kind of like keep them side by side so that way we can have a better view. And by the way, if you're interested in becoming an SAP consultant, you're at the point where you want to upskill, you need a career change, you want to start making 6 figures working from home, please do well to let me know. You can follow me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn profile is Henry Ocon, and you can ask all the questions that you have. Or you can also turn on your notification and follow us on YouTube. So that way, whenever we release new video content, you'll be the first to know. Thank you. So you can see here to the left-hand side, we have the loss account, and then to the right-hand side, we have the gain account, which pretty much reflects what we are seeing here, okay? So this is your loss, and this is your gain account, okay? So now that we know that the system is trying to post $4 to $5 into the gain account, however, we are still running into the error message that we are seeing here on the screen. How do we now fix this? So there are about 3 ways to fix this problem. Number one, you can reach out to the finance consultant and tell them that this is the error message that was received whenever the user was trying to create the price changes, and they can go ahead and fix this in the transaction code FS00. But, you know, as a superstar material management consultant, it's also important for you to begin to learn how to work independently and solve some of these issues and problems that tends to arise in the SAP environment. So aside from option number one, option number two would be for you to directly go into the GL account yourself. So in this scenario, we're going to go into this GL account, 52531,000. All right. So let's minimize the screen. So you're going to go in here where you're getting the error message. So 52531,000. And even though, yes, we're in the display mode, a couple of things that you can see. So the system is not correctly set up for this particular GL account. And how do I know that? From what I have just highlighted, the cost element category is not supposed to be for primary cost and cost reducing revenue. That shouldn't be the case, okay? So that's the reason why SAP is forcing you to enter a cost center. So whenever this is selected, SAP is forcing you to enter a cost center. And if you remember in the previous sessions where I went to this particular transaction code called OKB9, I'm going to give full screen. You can see in this scenario here, we were able to assign our company code to a cost element, right? And then we were also able to save that information into the SAP system, okay? So here, if I look for my company code of US 29, you can see this is the cost element that we had assigned. So that way, whenever the SAP system is trying to make a posting into our revenue account, the system would also look into this cost element. Here, we can also copy this cost element number or account, and we can also go here to the GL account and enter that information here and hit enter. And you can see that this is our operative revenue or our operating revenue. So whenever the SAP system is trying to make posting into this, and it sees this primary cost and cost revenues, it would immediately come into this OKB9 transaction code. And then it would notice that it has been set up for our company code US29. And obviously, we also do have cost centers that has already been assigned to this company code. So because of that, the posting would happen. So that's similar to what is happening in this scenario where the SAP system is trying to make a posting into that gain account, and it sees that there's a primary cost reducing revenue setup, but then we do not have this configuration into OKB9 for that specific account. So that's what is happening, and that is what we can change. Okay, I'm just going to open back the loss account. So that's the first thing we can do, right? We can enter cost center. So the system is forcing us to enter a cost center. Number two, what we can also do, I'm going to minimize the screen, is maybe we can click change mode and then make this blank and hit save. But in this scenario, I think it's going to be a required entry because if I take it out, you can see it's a required entry. Okay, so this would always be the last option, okay? And you can also check with finance if this is allowed in your business environment, okay? So we're going to go with the best practice, okay? So what's the best practice? The best practice is we're going to copy this GL account for the gain, and then we are going to go to OKB9 transaction. And then here, what we are going to do is we are going to add that extra account. So we're going to click into the new entries and you're going to enter your company code and you're going to enter this cost element and hit enter on your keyboard. And you see, we do not have any error messages. You don't need to maintain any other information. Profit centers and all of that doesn't need to be maintained. And then you just directly need to hit save. And then you need to save this into your customizing request. So I'm going to save this into my customizing requests. Okay, and the data was saved. So now when we go to US 29, you can see we have that cost element added, right? So now we can back out of this screen. And for that, we can also back out of this screen and try to make this posting again into MR21. And there we can also enter our reference again and click execute, enter your material, change the valuation type to US, hit enter. And here we're going to update the new price to 5 again, and then we're going to post it. And if we're still running into this error message, what we need to do this time around is You can see that it's saying KI. If you're still running into this error message, what you would need to do is you can go back to OKB9 because sometimes into that OKB9 screen, you are required to maintain the cost center. So now you can see we have already maintained the cost element, but we never entered the cost center. So now we need to choose from the list of what we have already maintained, and we need to choose our cost center. So here I'm going to select the cost center for administration manager or admin production, okay? I'm going to select that and I'm going to hit save. And the data was saved. So after that, we can restart the screen again. And you can enter your material and your valuation type, hit enter, update this to 5, and then you can post it. And there you go. The issue has now been solved. The issue has now been solved.